Good morning. On to week 3 already. First thing I want to remind you about is to review in your introductory materials. There is a page on first, second, and third person writing, and academic writing per MLA in particular is supposed to be in third person. So kind of keep this in mind, and if that doesn't exactly ring a bell, review that page. It's short, and I think it makes it pretty clear. So I am going to be looking very carefully at consistency in third person writing this week. Don't forget your weekly commentaries. You will be held responsible for the information on these pages, and I think they are very helpful to kind of, again, that follow-up lecture that you would have if you were in class that clarifies the previous week's material. And you are very soon going to be really working intensely with a story in your essay. So it's going to behoove you, old word, to really make sure you've been on track with your digging into the poem and short stories. Do take time to read those carefully, and again, let me know if you have any questions about the prior week's work. It's going to catch up with you if you kind of leave things hanging. This week we're really going to dig into analysis. An analysis is a very detailed examination that is done by breaking things into parts. We're familiar with this, particularly I think when it comes to science, the hard sciences. If you want to know what water is and study it, you break it down into its components, hydrogen and oxygen, and study those very detailed fashion. Well, the same is true for literature. That's why the course was introduced with those short story and poetry terms. You use those to really break down pieces of literature. You go into analysis, breaking down, say, images, as very specifically as possible. So this week you will be working with a poem and one very short story that I love. It's one of my favorites, so don't say you hate it. That is Harrison Bergeron. I think it is so clever and so timely. Makes a very interesting point. Then you will read a slightly longer story, very bizarre story that certainly, I think, in light of COVID and a rush to get a vaccination, might be of interest, might be something we need to think about. How do we go about such scientific medical pursuits ethically? And what are the motivating forces behind moving forward maybe too quickly? So both of the stories you're going to read, I think, this week have a lot of relevance to our current scenarios. 2020 has been an interesting year thus far. You will have, and I hope you've kind of noticed this last week, your Dropbox assignments on your pieces of literature are more literary focused. They're that analysis breaking down the literature in order to arrive at, to understand the theme or the narrative argument, what it is that the writer wants to put forth, wants to, so to speak, sell you on, wants to argue his stance or her stance on a particular aspect of life. That's in the Dropbox. Your discussion posts kind of more connect the story's theme, narrative argument, to relevant current concerns. So you always have a Dropbox assignment and a discussion post on your pieces of literature. Again, if you kind of walk through the weekly schedule carefully, keep this video in mind, One more time, do not hesitate to text or call. Sometimes just a real quick kind of clue can get you pointed in the right direction. Have a good week. Don't get behind. Talk soon.